Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the very special secondary weapon, the Azima. So let's go into our Salt Prime Cave here. We have the top commenter of the last video, Chew Cement, the first commenter of the last video, Finzo T. Grow Hick, and our recent supporters of Colonel Suro 6, Alfofo, and Toxic Sneeze. Thank you so much for your support. And of course, we're doing the Azima today. I'm going to go down into the arsenal here. Now, the first thing about the Azima is that it is a login reward. At day 100 of logged into Warframe, you will have the option to pick a few different login weapons, the Azima being one of them. Now, every 200 days past that, you will have another chance to pick another one of those login weapons. So you could technically pick the Azima as your very first one, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you picked one of the other flashier ones. And so at day 300, you'll have another chance to pick up the Azima, and then day 500 and so on. So, you know, day 100, 300, 500, etc. Okay. Now, unique and interesting things about the Azima. If you look at its normal data sheet here on its primary fire, it's actually not very interesting. It's just a basic machine pistol. It's actually kind of an underwhelming machine pistol. It's not very good. So why do I think this is so amazing? Well, it's because of its alternate fire, which is extremely unique. Probably one of the most unique weapons in the entire game. So let's go over this alternate fire here. The alternate fire shoots the entire magazine as a turret that spins around, shooting 4 shots at a time. And it shoots them in kind of like a cross pattern. And that turret will last for 10 seconds, and there are ways to increase the duration of that turret. Because 10 seconds is, that's cool to have a little turret up for 10 seconds, but it's still not like, it's not something that would make me want to bring the Azima. That would be more of an annoyance to have to switch from my primary or switch from my melee to shoot out a little turret once every 10 seconds. So you can increase that to 30 seconds maximum by doing certain things to the weapon, which we'll go over. Now, with a 30-second duration turret, that becomes doable. At that point, I don't really mind once every 30 seconds switching from my primary weapon to shoot out this little turret real quick and then go back to my primary. Or if I'm doing my melee thing with a melee frame, you know, going to my secondary real quick, popping out an alternate fire, and then going right back into my melee. You know, 30 seconds becomes less annoying to have to do. Okay, so the little turret is still pretty bad. It still doesn't do a lot of damage. So what do you do with a weapon that hits a lot? It hits a lot of enemies around it. It just doesn't do a lot of damage. Well, you can make it into a primer, a light primer. It's not as consistent of a primer as, like, let's say a pet or like the epitaph or anything like that, but it's still going to decently viral prime. And that's what we're going to be doing on the weapon here. We're going to be putting viral to help it viral prime. And the other thing you can do with a weapon that doesn't do a lot of damage but hits frequently is the brand new arcane secondary fortifier. This actually made the Azima, like, the Azima was already a pretty good utility weapon, but secondary fortifier has made the Azima a godlike utility weapon. Because now, let's read this. Gain 1 overguard every 100 damage dealt to an enemy's overguard. So it has to be hitting an Eximus or a dude with overguard, which, if you're familiar with Steel Path, which you should be if you watch me, but if you're familiar with Steel Path, past like 5 or 10 minutes in, like, every other enemy has overguard. So the fact that anytime this hits something, it's going to be giving you like 1 or maybe even a couple of overguard is a big deal. Now, if you didn't know about overguard, when overguard pops, like when it actually breaks, you get 0.5 seconds of invuln. And it doesn't matter how much overguard you had. If you had 1 overguard, like literally a single point of overguard, or 10,000 overguard, you're still going to get 0.5 seconds of invuln. And so it doesn't matter that this actually doesn't do a lot of damage and only gives you like 1 or 2 or 3 points of overguard at a time. It's just the fact that it's frequently giving you these like little random overguard procs. And then when they pop, you get that 0.5 seconds of invuln. Like, that's huge. That's turned the Azima, like, again, the Azima was a good utility weapon already just for random viral priming, but now it's a random overguard generator as well. Ooh, my goodness, that's so good. Okay, so before we go over the mods, again, we have to make sure the duration is closer to that 30-second mark. Actually, if we can get it to 30 seconds, that's even better, and I'll tell you how to do that. So, again, you shoot the entire magazine out, and the magazine spins around and it shoots bullets. Now, the duration is actually based on that little turret spending all of its ammo. So how do you make it last longer? Well, you give it more ammo through magazine capacity. So plus magazine capacity will give that turret more ammo to last longer. The other thing you can do to make the turret last longer is negative fire rate, because obviously if something is shooting slower, it's not using as much ammo, and therefore it will last longer. So there are ways to get this to 30 seconds, and it's not really too hard actually, and we'll go over that. So let's do the mods here now. We're going to have Pistol Pestilence for the 60-60 Toxin, and we're going to have Ice Storm for 40% cold and plus 40% magazine capacity. And this is going to make viral because, again, toxic and cold make viral. So this is going to turn it into a viral primer, an okay viral primer. It's not going to be as good as probably you doing your own viral priming, but it's still going to be an okay viral primer. But Ice Storm, again, make sure you don't use the 60-60 cold. Use Ice Storm, because Ice Storm is going to give you the magazine capacity, which is a godlike stat on the Azima. Tainted Clip is going to give us another plus 60% magazine capacity. Now, it gives us minus 30% reload speed. That kind of sucks, but the magazine capacity is too good to not use this. And Prime Slip Mag is going to give us another plus 55% magazine capacity. Now, with these three magazine capacity mods, Prime Slip Mag, Tainted Clip, and Ice Storm, I did a little stopwatch this morning to try to figure out exactly the seconds that this lasted to, and it was 27 to 28 seconds. I couldn't exactly figure out, like, if it was 27 or 28. It probably was just down to the differences of me, like, the split second of clicking the little stopwatch, but 27 to 28 seconds for all three of these mods. Now, of course, if you don't have the primed version of Slip Mag, it might be like 25-ish seconds with the regular version. But that's still fine. You can still use the non-primed version. And there's ways to get this to 30 seconds that I'll go over at the very end, because it's an optional. My build is not. My build is going to be at that 27, 28 second mark, but there's ways to go to 30. Okay. Next here we have Barrel Diffusion. This is for multi-shot. Why are we going for multi-shot? It's because we're going to have, if you shoot one bullet giving a 40% chance to produce a viral, well, I guess there's a few other elements here, but one bullet with a 40% status chance is okay, but two bullets with a 40% status chance is even better to produce viral or one of these other elements. So that's why we go with multi-shot. Primed Quick Draw is for reload speed. Now, this is more of a personal thing. I think you should play like me. I think it is the better way to play this weapon, where when you switch to it, every 30 seconds when you switch to the Azima, you just two-tap. You two-tap two alternate fires out, get two turrets out at the same time, and then go back to your primary slaying or go back to your melee slaying or ability shooting or whatever you're doing. But you're doing alternate fire twice to get two turrets. And reload speed helps a lot with that because it makes it quicker to get that second shot out. If you find yourself only ever really wanting to shoot one turret at a time, you don't really need reload speed. You maybe could use another mod over this one. There's just not many other mods to put on the Azima. Okay, and in the last two slots here, we have our these are two flex slots because they're okay, but they're not making the weapon like that strong. So it's kind of up to you if you want to have these two mods here. That's going to be Sure Shot for plus 90% status chance. The weapon without Sure Shot has about a 25% status chance, which is not great. Although, to be perfectly honest, 40% is still not great, but obviously it's better than 25. And that's why I think Sure Shot is okay, because it gives you a better chance to be putting viral on things. The other mod here is going to be Seeker. This is going to give you plus 2.1 punch through. Now, punch through normally is pretty godlike. If your bullet can punch through an enemy and hit a second enemy, that's double the value. Now, on the turret, it's a little bit less valuable just because if it's on the player, like you can actually account for lining enemies up. Like it's pretty easy to line enemies up as the player. But the turret that just kind of spins around and shoots randomly, the punch through hits that it gets are going to be very random. So sometimes you'll get value out of this. A lot of times you won't. Kind of up to you. Again, there's not many better mods to put on the Azima. So I do think these two are close to the best mods you could have in these last two slots. Obviously, except if you had a Riven. If you had a Riven, then, obviously you could put it over one of these slots here. Maybe your Riven already had status chance on it, and then you could replace Sure Shot, or maybe your Riven already had punch through on it, and so you could replace Seeker here. Okay, let's go over the other option though, because there is another mod that will let you get from a 27 or 28 second duration to a 30-second duration. And we need to type in fire rate for that. Except we don't actually want fire rate, we want negative fire rate. So what gives us the perfect amount of negative fire rate to get to exactly 30 seconds? It's creeping bullseye. So it doesn't have to be over Seeker. You could also put this over Sure Shot. Kind of up to you. Either one of these you could put it over. I'm just going to put it over Seeker for now because it has the same polarity. But if you put creeping bullseye here, that negative 20% fire rate, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's just enough to make the Azima actually last for the full 30 seconds instead of only 28 seconds. That's up to you. Do you really care that much about 2 seconds duration on your turret? If you do, creeping bullseye could be kind of cool. I personally will value the random punch through more than I would just value 2 seconds duration on the Azima, but that's kind of, again, a personal thing. So I'm going to go back to my Seeker here, but creeping bullseye is how you would technically make this into a 30-second duration. Now, the better way to make this into a 30-second duration is to get a Riven that had plus magazine capacity, because plus magazine capacity would mean that you wouldn't have to use any negative fire rate mods, and yeah, you would still get up to 30 then. So for your Rivens, your God stats are going to be magazine capacity, number 1, because that will let you get to 30, and reload speed, because reload speed will let you quickly double tap the alternate fire to get 2 turrets out. So magazine capacity, reload speed. And then if you wanted a third positive stat, who knows? You know, you can't really pick your Rivens, but maybe status chance, maybe multi-shot, one of those two. Okay. Trick Mag is in the Exilus slot here. Why are we using Trick Mag? Well, it's because every time you alternate fire, you are shooting the entire magazine out. And because we have all these plus magazine capacity, every magazine has a huge amount of ammo. So every magazine has 191 bullets. So every time you click your little alt fire button, that's almost 200 bullets being shot out at a time. So you're going to have a big pool of ammo. And Trick Mag gives you a plus 90% ammo maximum, so it almost doubles your ammo pool. You need a pool of ammo more than you actually need the pickup. So like, and I know a lot of people are going to, say, why don't you use the mutation mods? It's not really about the pickup, it's about the pool. So I think Trick Mag is going to be your better option here. And then in the arcane slot, oh my goodness, when secondary fortifier came out, the Azima was already a good utility weapon, and this just made it, chef's kiss. Now it's like a godlike utility weapon. This is going to give you overguard every time it does damage, or every time it does 100 damage, which is not hard. It'll probably give you a few points of overguard every hit. So that is how you build out the Azima. Again, consider the negative 20% fire rate mod in one of these 2 slots if you want to go for that 30-second duration instead of 28 seconds. So let's go into the simulacrum. I'm going to show how this weapon works here. I don't think we're going to need actual gameplay to show this. I think after you see it in the simulacrum, you'll kind of understand the gist of it. Also, because in actual gameplay, it takes about like 5-ish minutes until like a good amount of Eximus come out. Most of the enemies, like an early Steel Path, are just like regular trash mobs that don't have overguard. We'll do this one here. So before we actually spawn the enemies, I just want to kind of show what the weapon looks like when you shoot it out. So let's go ahead and pop one of them out. Kind of bounces on the ground a bit, then it'll hover in the air, and it'll shoot around. And let me see if I can get a top-down view. I don't know if you guys can see that, especially with Worm in the way, but it shoots kind of in a cross pattern. And then it just spins. So it'll hit dudes randomly. It's not going to actually like specifically target dudes. But because it shoots in all 4 directions, it will hit a decent amount of dudes, especially if, you just plop it like in the middle of a main room. And then when the duration ends, it's going to explode. It actually does do a little bit of blast damage when it explodes, but it's not that great. You don't really build the Azima for the explosion at the end. You build it for the turret part of it. Now, again, how I like to do it is I actually like to double tap it. Let me show you how quick you can do that. So I go 1, 2, that's it. And then I can go back to my primary with my Krakata, do my thing with my Krakata, and then I just have these 2 guys out here randomly rotating around, hitting things, giving me overguard, spreading viral. And that's it. Or I can go to, my melee slashing. And then once every 30 seconds when I need to, I just go pop, pop, and then go back to my thing. And those 2 will expire first because I casted them first. And then these two will keep going for however many seconds they have left on them. And that's really it. Let me spawn some Eximuses in here. I don't want to spawn a lot. I want to show you what like maybe a normal mission would look like. I'm gonna cough real quick. I'm sorry. So like a normal mission, like let's say 18 regular enemies and 2 Eximuses, right? So like 1 Eximus for every 10 enemies. Let's spawn these little dudes in here. Get some more ammo. And where the Eximus is over here. Where's the other one? Is there only one, or is he an Eximus too? Maybe I only spawned 1 Eximus. I don't see a second one. Oh, he's in the back there. Okay. So like, let me throw it up front here, like kind of away from them, and you'll still see it generates a decent amount of overguard. So if you look in the top right, oh, there we go. Got a proc. Got another proc. Got another proc. Got another proc. Got another proc. And again, these can break individually. Like I can have my overguard broken, but it's about once every 2 to 3 seconds. It's giving me just a little bit of overguard, enough to give me that 0.5 seconds of free invulnerability, which is huge. You know, and this I shot it kind of in the corner here, where I think it has to actually punch through to hit that dude in the back. And this guy, I guess, was hitting him randomly. But in an actual game where, you know, after 10 minutes, probably half of these dudes are going to be overguarded dudes. You're going to get a lot more than that. So just consider that. You know, it's a really, really cool weapon, really unique. It's very easy for people to pass up on this thing because it just looks like, you know, this is its primary fire. It's just a basic machine pistol, kind of crappy. But its alternate fire is really what makes it special. And you can shoot out as much as you want. You don't have to shoot out 2. You can just, you know, plop all of them out and go nuts with it. I don't think you need to do that. I think for time efficiency, you know, if you were doing a melee build, you would only plop out like 1 or 2. But if you wanted to go nuts, you could just you could shoot all your ammo worth of turrets out. So yeah, that's the Azima there. I hope you guys liked it. If you liked the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing, or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.